Joining us now, Ron Villanueva. Ron, good to have you, man.
Morning, John. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, now let's get this election down. You're running for re-election. You got to get your people out tomorrow. You've been talking to a lot of voters. You're the chairman of transportation. How things look?
Well, first, I want to give a shout-out to all the supporters and especially my campaign team. They were with me this weekend, and it was a long weekend for a lot of us. Shout-out to Angela, John, and Paige for all the tremendous work you did. And when you're out there on the stump, and I've been campaigning since last year, everyone knows that the 21st House District is one of the purple districts in Hampton Roads, and because of the district makeup, there's always someone running.
Right.
So every 2 years is not any different from me running, but it's definitely different having a primary. And as we know, and you talked about it earlier, there's just a lot of voter apathy out there. A lot of folks don't know about Tuesday. I'm hopeful that people will turn out tomorrow. I've been on the ballot many times and have been reelected with the strong support of the district and the citizens that vote for me because they think I'm doing a great job. I've been honored to serve. I've always worked to make a difference on behalf of all the families, and that shows, and everyone knows it, and everyone knows that I'm sincere about it. A lot of the issues that I found out are continuous, and I've continued to run on them. That's making sure that we have a strong economy, that there's a lot of opportunities for Virginians, and we know it. Keeping taxes low and regulatory reforms, just making government more efficient rather than working against you. And that's what we've seen out there in the stump.
What are voters saying? I asked this question to one of the other local candidates just on, when you're knocking on doors, when you're talking to voters on the phone, what are they saying, Ron? What's on their mind right now?
There's still a lot of anxiety about the economy. We here in Hampton Roads especially, because we're so dependent on defense dollars, they've seen the defense dollar appropriations shrink. A lot of companies have shut down. We've had to diversify, and that's hard. That's hard to do, especially when you've got dependence on defense dollars. But we've turned it around. A lot of my focus has been on making sure government coordinates with higher academia and the private industry. Over the last 2 years, I've been focusing on several efforts. I've led the efforts with regards to cybersecurity and biosciences, and more importantly, transportation infrastructure. Here in Hampton Roads, we've got a gem called the Port of Virginia, and the Port of Virginia feeds the rest of the state with regards to goods and services. Our investments have shown tremendous throughout the state, focusing on creating new jobs in the western part of the state, Northern Virginia, you name it. And a lot of times we find out that you don't necessarily need to bring in new industries. Just focus on the things that we do best, and small businesses, and coordinating those things. We find out, and that's a lot of my discussion with these small business owners. A lot of folks are upset with the governor focusing on bringing in other industries, when here we've got a great resource base with regards to workforce, and we just need to expand them. For instance, using our veterans. Our veterans are tremendous. A lot of them are transitioning out. We have found their skill sets to be able to adapt to any industry. We found out with regards to cyber, a lot of the equipment operators, and not only the veterans, but their spouses as well. And we're focusing on helping to employ those folks as well. So we got a lot of work cut out for us. I hope to continue to do more of it, and I've got a record to show that I'm all about jobs, listening to our citizens, but more importantly, working in partnership with the citizens to make sure government works for us instead of against us.
I've got a question here, Ron, from one of our callers, Chuck in Virginia Beach in your district, says, question for Delegate Villanueva, will you work to allow businesses other than Lyft and Uber to classify workers as partners I'm a small business owner. I want to drop worker compensation policy, and my independent contractors want personal use car tax relief and no business fees or equipment taxes. So I think he's saying Uber and Lyft are able to classify their workers as contractors. Is that something that you think is going to be a growing trend?
Well, as one of the authors of the ride-sharing platforms, and that's actually created hundreds of new jobs in a new industry here in Virginia. What we've always found out when we do these things, it's all about refinement and making sure that it's an even playing field for folks. I know we've worked with the taxi cab industry to help deregulate some of their things that they have put forth. So to answer your question is yes. I mean, who would not want to help out industries and create a even playing field? So that'll probably be a source of legislation coming forward. I know we've tackled a lot. This past year, we put more emphasis on creating new industries such as autonomous robots and delivery robots. You're seeing a lot of more ride-sharing companies come into Virginia besides Uber and Lyft. We've decreased the franchise fee for folks that want to participate, and we've also decreased the requirements for insurance requirements as well. So, yes, the answer is yes.
All right, so you're in favor of that. For your going back into 2018 General Assembly, obviously whoever gets elected governor, you're going to have to either work with Northam, Perriello, Gillespie, Stewart, Wagner, somebody going into this thing. What are your top transportation objectives for Hampton Roads?
Well, you've seen over the last several years, especially with myself and a lot of the Hampton Roads guys involved, first it was funding. We've got a fully constrained budget. You're seeing a lot of these great road projects finally move forward after decades of inactivity, which is great for Hampton Roads, but more in particular for the 21st House District. You've seen a lot of these road projects that were on a standstill, for instance, Linden Parkway, Holland Road, Elbow Road's now on the budget plans, Dominion, you name it. Both Chesapeake and Virginia Beach have been able to advance some of their road projects. And then the second phase, besides funding, is accountability, and I've been the leader on that with regards to looking at how these public-private partnerships can get away from you, and more importantly, how we need to control these things and make sure that the taxpayer benefits and Virginia benefits versus some of these private entities. And then third, you're seeing a lot more advancements with regards to technology on how we implement these things and making sure that these road projects move forward. So there's definitely a lot to do. I know in the past 8 years that I've served in the House, we've tackled a lot of these and moving forward, working in bipartisan fashion. You could do such. I mean, Aubrey Lane, who's the current Secretary of Transportation, has been a tremendous asset to Governor McAuliffe. We've been able to do a lot of reform efforts with regards to our ports, our airports, rail, transit, you name it. And my focus has been all of the above approach, making sure that we have some milestones that we meet. For instance, here at Hampton Roads, we really don't have transit solutions. We have a skeletal bus system. We're working with the federal government with regards to fleet mobility. You're going to see some efforts with regards to autonomous vehicles, using those efforts. We're also engaged with protecting our assets, such as Norfolk International Airport. We've got to make sure that that continues to thrive. And with regards to Amtrak, you're seeing higher speed rail options come down along the eastern seaboard. So whoever the governor is, transportation is a key infrastructure and is a priority. And I've helped to lead the way on that.
Look, there's been no doubt you've been involved in this for a long time. Going to Richmond this weekend, we went up and down 64 Saturday early and then coming home Sunday last evening. Many of us that travel that constantly right now, short-term pain, right? Long-term gain, short-term pain is lots of construction for the widening of it. So once you get through Newport News, it's very slow going, a little bit treacherous, same way up and back. But that finally, you see the trees being cut down and the new pillars being put in. When do you see that as being completed, Ron? That stretch of adding the lanes to 64 between Newport News and Williamsburg, where it always bogs down?
The goal is by end next year.
Really?
You're seeing them move pretty aggressively over last year. You've seen tremendous amounts. It's hard to have a hard date, but the goal is to make sure it's done within the year or next year, and then funding the remaining part that goes all the way up to Richmond, which is badly needed.
And that would be the second phase of it, which, when would that be, 2020 something?
I believe it's like 2022.
Right.
The start of that. But here in Hampton Roads, as you know, you've seen a lot of our focus with regards to 264, 64 interchanges. We're focusing on High-Rise Bridge. That's the next one. That's the southern gateway to Hampton Roads through Chesapeake and the 21st District. And then, more importantly, the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel and what we do with that.
Well, look, at least after all this time, we're seeing progress made on roads, and they're not going to be told. So that's a good thing. You got to get money to pay for this stuff. I know we all fought for the Transportation Compromise Bill in 2013 when Bob McDonough was there. A lot of us, like me, got hounded over it. But, when you're driving to Richmond and you see the construction and you know what, it's 18 months away and I'm going to be able to sail through all this, at least there's the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. And I know, Ron Villanueva, you were a big part of that, so I want everybody to remember that. Look, we got about a minute and a half, Ron, to your constituents voting in tomorrow's Republican primary in the 21st District. What's your closing message?
To the folks that are coming out to vote tomorrow, please vote for me. I've been there through thick and thin, working to make a difference on behalf of all the citizens, and the results show. I've got a record of results for the families of the 21st House District, Hampton Roads, and Virginia. My heart's really been into it, and more importantly, I'm the kind of guy that listens and the kind of representative that you could be proud of. I cut through all the bureaucracy, cut through all the politics. I reach across the aisle and work in concert with folks to find solutions, and that's my reputation for folks here in the district and in Richmond, and that's why I've been elevated to be a chairman and in leadership. Win or lose, it's been my honor to serve, but more importantly, it's been the highlight of my life to work for the citizens of the 21st House District. And in my parents' native language, I want to just leave with this: Mabuhay, translation in Virginia, live long and prosper, everyone.
What a humble message. Ron Villanueva, thanks for being with us today and wrapping up our show. I know it's tough to bat cleanup after everybody's been on, from Perriello to Ed Gillespie to everybody else. Thanks for being on with us, Ron.
Thank you, John.
I just want to give, before you go, we don't endorse a lot of candidates. I do it very rarely. As people know, give my full-throated endorsement to Ron Villanueva. We encourage everybody in the 21st District to come out of the Republican primary tomorrow and reelect him. He's a humble guy. He's done a great job. His office is always open. Him and Angela, his L.A. Angela Chalo, you can call them anytime. I mean, you got to think about Ron Villanueva. He's a powerful guy, right? He's the chairman of the Transportation Committee in a supermajority in the House of Delegates. It's like a huge job he's got, and quite an honor. And you could have one of those jobs, and you could be standoffish and aloof, and you got to go through three people to get a meeting. Not Ron. You just walk into his office. You know where he is in Chesapeake. He's banging his door. You call him up, he answers the phone. He truly is a humble servant and somebody that I'm honored to back. And to know and to call a friend. And he's taught me a lot about just interacting with people in just a way that is very uplifting. And so I thank you for that, Ron Tamara, and I look forward to you getting renominated.
Thank you, John, and God bless.